Oh, hi everyone, Zach here together with the CG Boost team and Jesse. So we are here today to talk about some artworks from our last Science Lab 3D Art Challenge. So we want to critique some of these artworks and give our thoughts on how to improve them. And yeah, today I'm here with the CG Boost team. As mentioned, we have Marsha here. Say hi.
Hi.
Martin.
Hello.
We have Daniel.
Hello.
Egon.
Hi, guys.
And Alan.
What's up?
And we have our special guest today, Jesse from Kaizen Tutorials.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah, if you don't know Jesse, he's making some awesome Blender tutorials here on YouTube. So definitely check him out. He's linked down below in the video description. Also, for all the apps and important links for this live stream, everything is linked down below. And I hope you can hear us well. So yeah, then let's jump right in. So first of all, let's start with the training arena. So we have 20 artworks we want to review here. We start with 5 random artworks from the training arena, and then we will go over to 5 random artworks from the pro arena, and then we go to the highlights and winner from each category. So let's start with this one here. That's a bit huge. So let's zoom in a bit. Alrighty. So, and since Jesse is our guest here, he can start today. Yeah, and if I haven't said this artwork is by Alex Morales. So yeah, let's jump right in.
Well done.
Yeah. Well, first of all, let me begin by saying that I enjoyed overall just all of the submissions. They were great. And yeah, actually, in particular, I really like this one because it was so different. It was very unique in its approach. So usually when you think of a science lab, you tend to think of something like, flasks and chemicals and those kinds of things. So I kind of like the original approach of going back in time and stating, a science lab could also be back in Neanderthal times when people were trying to experiment with stuff as well. So I really like that approach. For me, what I thought was well done was the overall texturing. So the rocks look realistic. There's a nice ground floor texturing as well as the lighting. However, in that regard, I would like to say that the lighting could have been flipped because now, let me just draw it over here, but the light is basically coming in from this direction. It might not be the best color. So yeah, that's not a good one. Yeah, so red. So the light is coming in from this direction, and usually I would say that's fine, but because the subject of this image is over here on the left side, it might have been better to switch that, because then you would have had light on the subject, which would have highlighted the subject a little bit more instead of just highlighting these rocks over here on the right side. So, but that's just a minor point of feedback for me.
Yeah. Martin, what do you say?
Yes, I remember this one definitely when we talked about it in the judging process. I love all the details in it, even the little cave paintings on the wall. I'm not sure if it's visible for the people who watch it on YouTube, but there are little cave paintings here. So there's definitely a lot of details. And as Jesse mentioned, the biggest drawback is that we don't really know what to focus on. The light would suggest that it's on these rocks here, but this is the focal point. So that's the major issue for me. The next one is a little bit of better blending would go a long way. There are all these harsh transitions between the rocks and the ground, so that would definitely improve the artwork. Yeah, that's my main critique for this one. Otherwise, if like everything was pinpointed in the artwork properly, like the light would go on the most important areas, it would be pretty awesome. I think we liked it when we talked about it. So Maybe if the author could work on it in the future, like to improve the artwork, that would be awesome.
Yeah. Egon, do you have anything to add here?
Pretty much everything said already. Just a little bit of improvement could be done also on the area, like the entrance to the cave. Maybe the sky would be like a little bit more saturated. Now it's a little bit washed out. And thinking about the lighting, as we were discussing it a lot, that we should change the direction. Another also way how to do it, because as I look at it right now, I see that there are plenty of tools on the right side. So that might be also something to see, but then we can help it also when we put some reflection from the fire itself, like to really highlight this character here. Otherwise, nice work. With a little bit of improvement, it will get it the right touch. And I really appreciate the story here. Pretty cool.
Yeah. Masha, anything?
Yeah, I mean, this artwork was one of my choice for the training arena, so I liked that a lot. The idea, especially, it was very original, so well done. And yeah, I agree with everything the others said about the lighting and everything else.
Yeah. Daniel?
I think the main two things that haven't already been said for me is that I think the fire is probably very, very dim. Fire is extremely bright, and it would be good to have that a lot brighter, so that it would help to make the character stand out, like Jan said, and it would also draw more attention to that spot, which is good, and it would look more realistic in general. But I do, I like everyone else, I really do appreciate the difference in this image from all the other more futuristic images. It's really nice, and it was a more unique take on it, and I really did appreciate that.
Yeah. One I think no one has mentioned it yet. I think it might work nicer to get a feel of depth, that these are like far distant mountains, to add some atmospheric fog in here. So to basically wash out the mountains a bit, so they would feel a bit further away. But yeah, that's pretty much it. All right. And then let's get over to the next one. Still Training Arena by Daniel. If I can't pronounce the last name, I won't do it. This guy was, by the way, AKA Smooth Shading, if you all remember.
Oh, yeah.
So he has a real name.
Bringhurst. I'm here for you, Zach.
So, and by the way, Alan is not actively taking part with like critiquing the artworks, but he's more here for checking the chat and helping in the background. So if you're wondering why I'm never asking Alan what he thinks, although he might be capable of doing that. Well, Alan, maybe you want to start here.
Okay, sure.
just for one.
Yeah, just for one. We'll see how it goes. And maybe, yeah, there's a lot to like about it. The lighting's good, the materials, the composition. Like at a first glance, nothing is bothering me about it. In fact, I just like it. I guess the only thing right now is I'm not quite sure what the object is. It seems some kind of propulsion system. So that's the only thing that's not clear. But I really like how you have this lighting on the top, the fluorescent lights. Yeah, I like he even put effort into how it's being supported through the chain system. And yeah, overall, there's at first glance, there's not much to critique other than that. I just like it. I like the vibe, the mood, the blue color. Yellow adds a nice touch to it to add some other elements to look at. Yeah, there's not much to critique on my side for this one.
Yeah, okay, nice. Jesse?
Yeah, so this is I thought this was a great piece. Definitely on a high level. Well done. So yeah, the creator should definitely be proud of it. And what I really like about it is that everything feels equally polished, which is a good thing, I guess. So they put a lot of effort in all these types of details, and they really thought through the composition of the image in regards to the modeling. So the background is quite simple, which is good because there's a lot going on in the front of the image, as well as posing of certain objects in the scene as well, which draw your eye towards the spherical, I don't know, robot or droid, whatever it is. Yeah, so great work overall. I like the chains as well. A nice touch there, which really sells this sort of industry, techie factory look. So yeah, that's all very good and well done. And for me, the main thing I would maybe change is the lighting a little bit, because I feel there's a lot of light all over the place. So with light, I think you could paint a little bit more direction in the image and just guide the viewer's eyes a little bit more towards that spherical orb.
Any specific suggestions on how to change the lighting?
Yeah, well, I think maybe by lowering the camera just a little bit and sort of excluding these top lights over here, so these ones from the image, you can still get the lighting from them, but your eye is not drawn to them anymore because they are no longer in the image. Or maybe just using a bit more of a smaller, focal length for the camera, and then pointing it slightly more downward, just to get a bit of a different angle, which excludes some of this lighting here, which, in my opinion, might distract a little bit.
Okay, Egon, do you want to say something?
Yeah, there's just small tweaks. What can also help, it's maybe the changing also the angle of the camera, like on the horizon, because we have these lines aligned, like we mentioned a couple of times, that the objects are aligning with another object, which is a little bit like distracting or like harming the complete composition. So maybe the moving the monitor more to the side, and also then we would move at the same moment this post here, so the soldier will be more visible. That could also help. Yeah, otherwise I really like this soft look of the image, like a little bit of defocus, which gives it like that moody vibe. And all elements are believable in this scene. The color palette is very nice. So just small improvements in the camera position would be probably the stuff to help. Maybe a little bit of crop, but that's something what we mention always, so I don't want to mention too often. Yeah, very nice color palette. I really like it. This is very, very like a techie, like sci-fi lab. I really believe the story here.
Yeah, someone in the chat also said that this could have been Pro Arena, and I totally agree. Looks very solid. All right, so anyone else want to say something to this artwork, or should we move on?
Go, Daddy.
Yes. Sorry, I wasn't sure if I wanted to interrupt or not. I think this monitor here, I think, is the biggest problem for me, just because it's a big black square that's sort of blocking a lot of the like this sort of section, and it would be really, really nice to I don't know, move it down a little bit, and I know you don't want it to be a super distracting thing, but I mean this monitor here looks really quite nice, just because it's it's just this big black square. So maybe if there was a monitor like this one, sort of more here-ish, just so it's not in the way of this character here.
Yeah.
And maybe have it with the screen on, just because otherwise it's a big black square of nothing. And I would probably angle the camera down to something like that instead, just because at the moment we're not really, this stuff out here isn't really adding anything to the image, I don't think. I mean, I like all the detail of the beams and things at the top, but it's not really doing anything to add to the image. So, but I personally actually really like the lighting as it is. I think it's really quite nice. But I agree that these white beams up the top are probably a bit distracting. So, Yeah, I also agree that it could definitely be a pro arena image. So
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Very nice. So overall, we quite like this artwork. Let's get to the next one. Next one is by Kazumi R. Christmas time. It's fitting. So Masha, do you want to start with this one?
Okay. I actually knew you would ask me to start because it's very similar to the artwork I did for the tutorial about the challenge. So yeah, I actually like it a lot. It was one of my favorites in the training arena, and I think it's pretty well done. I like the lighting, I like the texturing, all the details. Very nice work with these. There are a few little things that like look a bit off for me, and the first one is mainly this the seat. It looks a bit like it's missing some subdivisions or anything like this, because it looks very low poly compared to the rest of the scene. So I would basically maybe add some more details to it, and maybe work a bit more on the UVs to make it look more realistic. Maybe some more details here in this area would be great. And yeah, and of course adding some b-roll to the whole thing, because right now it looks very much like b-roll is missing. Yeah, this is the main concern I have about the scene, but apart from this, it's very well done and great work, really great.
Yeah, I think the lighting is especially nice, and also composition. So overall, except the chair, what Masha mentioned, this is a pretty perfect image in my opinion. What we thought about when we were discussing this in the judging process, we couldn't quite understand the story in this image. I mean,
Yeah.
it's interesting. So you try to think of something, which is always good when you don't know exactly what's going on. But since we have this little flame thingy going on here, um, we imagined something. Maybe there's some person brewing some coffee in these flasks here. But then we would love to see a little bit of like coffee in here, or some liquids in these different glass thingies. That would be nice. But apart from this, I think it's pretty awesome. Yeah. Martin, do you want to add anything here?
Yeah, the positive side is that the lighting. I love the lighting. It's with the shadow play and the sunset tone. I love it. On the other hand, there's quite a lot of post processing for my taste. So the chromatic aberration, we usually tend to mention this effect when it's too much, and in this one, it's slightly too much. It's like usually in Blender when I composite, I have it like 0.02, and this is like 0.08, I think, and it's that tiny little bit too much. So I would definitely tone down the effect. And yeah, it's not clear. There's some police sirens in somebody else's microphone. Sorry for that. So it's not really clear to me what the experiment is. So that's the biggest drawback about the story. But otherwise, I love it.
Yeah. So anyone else? Some comments?
Yeah, I've just got a couple of things. To add to the chair discussion from before, the wood grain direction does really bother me about it, because if you look at any reference of a chair, these long bits like this, the wood grain would be traveling in the direction of the longest side generally. So I would advise looking at some reference image when you're doing texturing like that. It's a pretty minor thing, but and I do like the fact that there is, as Mutton said, chromatic aberration, but it does tend to cause small issues, particularly around the corners. There's this little edge issue, like if you look right in the corner there, where it's sort of drawn in the red and I think it's maybe the green, I'm not sure, channels, and as a result you get this weird little dark border. And it's really, really easy to get rid of that. All you have to do is either, I think there's a fit or
Fit.
some
Yes.
button in Blender, but if you're doing it in any other program at all, or you don't know what that is, then you can just scale up the image ever so slightly, and that'll just get rid of all those nasty edges. But I agree that the lighting's really good. It's a very pretty image, and it's just minor technical things like that are sort of drawing it back, I think.
All
Yeah.
right.
Can I add one thing
Masha.
to that?
Where's Masha gone?
Oh,
Okay. Anyway, just continue.
sirens were for her.
It's the police got her.
There she is.
Oh, there she is. Yeah. So one thing I really like to add here is that this background is super busy, and usually I'd say that's not a good thing, but because the lighting is so well done, you still have this very clear separation between foreground and background, which I think is very well done and something to really appreciate in this image. And also, they have actual caustics in here. So that's
nice.
not easy to get in Blender, even though they might just be shadow caustics. Still, it takes a long time to render them and have them look as clear as they do. So yeah, job well done.
And Kazumi is also in the chat, by the way. So hi, great work. Awesome.
I think I'd like to add a small thing as well, if that's all right.
That's all right.
So at least for me, story-wise, I feel like I would like to see a bit of a higher camera angle and see a bit more of the desk in that, because I, like Martin said, I really like the shadows and the caustics and everything. And when I look at the background, the top layer of the books feels a bit flat and repetitive. So my eyes naturally just want to always see more of what's going on in the desk. And I think that would have been an even greater opportunity to tell a bit more story there. I think someone mentioned in the chat as well that when I look at the glass shader, it feels equally reflective and could use a bit more Fresnel to where you're looking straight at it, there's less of a reflection, and as it gets more angular, the reflection increases. That would be my two things.
Awesome. All right, then let's continue to the next one, which is still Training Arena by Sasha. So, Ellen, will you add the text, or should I? Let me show it. Okay.
We clicked on the button at the same time.
So, okay, Daniel, you might start here.
Ooh, excitement. Okay, so the first thing that I would like to say is I really like the composition of this image. I like these lines and things that are all drawing your eye to this hologram thing in the background. I think that works really well. This is a really good example of how to do those monitors in a non-distracting way, I think, which is really, really quite nice. The main two things that I would probably like to see as an improvement would be a bit more life in the scene. It's very sort of empty and sort of dead. Like there's no people, even though it doesn't have to be people necessarily, but something that feels like it's moving, or something a bit more animated about the scene. And because it's such a sci-fi sort of environment with all these nice glowy things and the hologram and all that sort of stuff, it would be cool if there was just a little bit of glow on them. So you can use just the flare node in the compositor in Blender, but if you're using another program, equal sort of methods of getting glow and that sort of thing, or just a bloom effect, something like that, just a little bit of a hint of it, because I think it would really add something quite nice to this. Also, just a tiny little bit of lens distortion would probably help quite a lot with this, because there's these really, really straight lines everywhere, and just having that tiny little bit of lens distortion would really make it feel a lot more realistic as well.
All right. Okay. Jesse?
Yeah, so I really like this piece. It kind of reminds me of my first video. So it brings back memories. That's good. What I completely agree with Daniel that the lines over here, they are very well done. And to further go on into that is that the monitors are sort of part of that. So they are following these lines, so they don't necessarily distract your eye having to look over here. It feels natural to go from here to here. So I think that's very good. I also like all of the detailing done. So the materials are nice. I especially like the floor reflections on this part. Very clean, and I think it really works for sci-fi stuff to have nice reflective stuff like that. And the one thing I would generally like to see in this image is maybe something outside. So I'm assuming we are in space right now. So why not have, just a hint of like a planet in here, just to add a bit more depth to the story. And it would be even cooler if that's not necessarily like Earth, but some sort of alien planet, because people then would be like, wow, what's going on? What's this planet? I can see, it intrigues the viewer to look a little bit longer to the image. And the other thing that I would like to add is that when it comes to fidelity or detail in images, it's usually good to have some quiet areas, so areas where there's less fidelity and areas where there's more fidelity. However, there should be a good balance in fidelity or in detail, I guess. So some of these materials could use a little bit more detail. So these panels over on this side and up here and on the right side are all very detailed, as well as the flooring. But the overall material over here is quite plain looking. So, which I think is a good thing here in the foreground because it doesn't distract. But over here on this left side, it could definitely maybe use, just some rust maybe, or some more details, scratches, or just another layer of panels or so, just to get in that extra detail and make it look very sci-fi and greebly.
All right. Martin.
Yeah, the lack of textures is what I wanted to mention. So Jesse mentioned it quite right. A few people around the table would be nice. It would immediately add something to the story of it. So these are my main concerns about this one. But as everybody mentioned, the lighting is very nice on this one, and of course the combination of yellow and blue that always works. By the way, the planet idea is great. So that would immediately add so much to it.
Yeah.
I think the only little thing I would add here is maybe, I'm not sure what the yellow thing should be. Maybe some sort of black hole would be probably cool to have some more like visual effects going on there to make it visually a bit more interesting. And I think, like as Daniel mentioned, the glow effect would already add to this. So the whole thing or the whole scene would feel a bit more exciting. But yeah, otherwise everything has been said.
From a story perspective, by the way, it would be very cool if the hologram, let's call it a hologram, sort of resembled the planet outside, because then it would mean the ship's scanning or maybe doing something in regard to the planet, which you can see outside. So it makes it like full circle.
Yeah. All right. Anyone else? No one?
We just mentioned the lines are leading the eye very nicely. That the perspective is really good in this one. And the only thing I'm missing, like you mentioned, that we have this central point with this scanny thingy there. But would be also cool if we add more light, maybe from the machine itself, or getting some, like this will be glowing circle and get more highlights on this whole table and the instrument. So we will keep it like as a focal point there. Also with the light, not only with the perspective, which is leading nicely, but also with some illumination, so this element will be really more visible. But it's only like small point, like even to drag our eye even more to this central part right here, and that's probably the only thing I have to add to it.
All right. Okay. Good. So let's get to the last one from the training arena for now, which is by Terry. Let's zoom in here a bit. So Masha, do we want to start here?
Yeah. Okay. I like very much. Oh, sorry. I like very much the story in general. It looks very nice. The humans like making some experiments on an alien, and then we have like a spy alien here that's maybe trying to save his friend, and this is very nice and like alien spy things and so on. It's very nice from storytelling point of view. Um, for me, the main thing would be to maybe try to work a bit more on the figures and I've- I know it's really hard, especially when you're a beginner, to like make good human figures. And for this, I always suggest to maybe use some references or also some kind of base meshes to start, and you already have the good proportions. And if you want to do stylized things like in this case, you have a lot of like base meshes for this as well. In general, I like the composition as well because we have like pretty clear attention on the central subject, and we have the possibility to notice the small alien behind that's spying around and trying to do something probably. Yeah. So that's the main thing for me. Just working a bit more on the figures, and this would make it immediately great.
Yeah.
Better.
Masha, can you try to turn up your mic a little bit? I feel it's a bit silent.
Sorry.
No worries. I think what's pretty great in this image are the textures on the floor and on the walls. And the lighting in general looks pretty good, I have to say. That works quite nicely. What I would love to see, because here in the background, the plants are highlighted quite nicely. I would love to see a bit more brightness on the green alien here, since we have some lights going on down here in the inside already, which could be just brighten up a bit more. So the alien is popping up more, and I guess it should be the main focus of the image. But when you squint your eyes, you will see these areas here more prominent. So, and yeah, I think this is something very basic to get right where to focus your light to guide the eyes of the viewer. So if you want to make this the main thing, then try to make it a little brighter than the background, for example.
Positive side.
Yeah.
I know it's a very little thing and it's not really important to the story, but I love these little glints here. I'm a sucker for this type of specular highlights, so I love it. Also, I'm not sure if this is an alien as well.
Oh, maybe it's
part of the story.
Maybe it's hidden. Yeah.
Maybe.
They brought
he's
Einstein
wearing
back to life.
an Edgar habit. I don't know, an Edgar dress.
And by the way,
wearing a
I'm not
human
sure
suit.
what's going on here. Maybe they.
That's why there's no light, because the
Yeah.
cable
Okay,
has
no, I
been,
That's why it's not highlighted, Zach. You're not reading the story
I
correctly.
think maybe that person's a robot and he's sabotaging the system.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's my theory. It's my running theory.
so many
His
possibilities.
face looks like to me like he made a really big mistake and is trying to like. He's like, what did I just do?
Egon, do you want to add anything here?
Just a small advice for the training arena. If you are trying to make this kind of like epic scene, don't overdo it with the scale, because it's quite time consuming to create all the props, characters, lighting, composition, everything. And if you get to the point where you are pretty sure that you cannot finish everything, don't be afraid to use a crop, like to cover part of the scene you are not able to finish, to make it less empty. Because, for example, we have very plain walls and ceiling. Don't be afraid to crop it to some unusual format and to fill your scene with everything what is important and cover the stuff you were not be able to finish. Otherwise, if you do this, you have plenty of elements you can put your focus on, and you will be able to finish most of them in some like nicely done way. So don't overdo the scene, because it's very hard if you put the scale too big.
By the way, this should be the motto of our live streams. Don't be afraid to crop.
Yes. And you can crop at the end when you know that you cannot really finish everything you put in your plans, because sometimes it's too much.
Yeah.
It's especially good to see on this one though, because that they've actually already cropped it a bit, because in the community, I think the progress images, there was like stuff out here, and the ceiling was way up there, and stuff like that. So it's good to see that it was reduced a little bit. Yeah, and also just the fact that they were looking for feedback in the community, I think, is a really good thing too. It's always a good move to get feedback and criticism on your work while you're working on it. So,
Link to the community is down below, by the way.
One thing I'd like to add here, Zach, if you would be so kind to zoom in on the glass a little bit, because I'm not sure who said it before, but there was something about Fresnel. I think it was Alan who said it. And something when doing glass, so this is just a general tip, but glass objects should always, or at least almost always, have a solidify modifier. Because if you give it a solidify modifier, you give actual thickness towards the glass, which will make the default glass shader in Blender just look way better, because that's how glass works. It has a thickness. So you can see over here, it has this thickness. So there's two lines, basically here and here, which represent the wall thickness of this pod that the alien is in, which will definitely help making your glass look better. And here as well, you can see the reflection going on the side. But at the same time, the plant is not obstructed at all by the glass shader. So if you want to get a good glass shading, basically just add thickness to your object.
Good
Nice. Some people in the community are saying they'd like to drink the green tea that the alien is inside. So interesting conversation going on in there.
By the way, some people, it's pretty late, so kudos for joining in to the live stream.
Yes, hello, my nocturnal friends.
So how late is it for you, Daniel? You're from Australia.
It is, at this particular moment, it is 5 a.m. I'm in Adelaide, so it's quite early for me, actually.
Poor Daniel.
Poor Daniel.
That's okay. It's okay. I don't have to work tomorrow. We're okay.
That's good.
You mean today?
For today.
Okay, we are jumping over to the Pro Arena now, and we're starting with some random submissions, so not the winners. So this one here is from Antonio. So let's zoom in here a bit. Oh, there's Suzanne. Some form of Suzanne, I guess.
And there's meta-humans.
Egon, would you like to start here?
I'm just like trying to get into the image, because it's very populated with all the different props and person. The one thing what is really good, that we have this green Suzanne in the front, which really drags your eye. And I'm a little bit fighting where to look next, because this testing tube, it's like pure focal point. But when then we have the person here, we have another person, which I'm not sure if it's from the same rank. So it's probably let's say unifying the props would help for this scene, because there are like many different styles put in together, like very realistic. The person on the left seems less realistic, the person in the back as well. So probably the unifying the look of the whole scene would be good. And also not 100% sure if the right part where I'm like with the person like corresponds with the left part, because those are like two different worlds. So I don't know if it's the lighting or if it's the like the curtain in the background. Something like gives me the idea it's two different pictures. So maybe if we continue with this dark, let's see. Give me a second. Oh, I have my pen upside down. If we make this part darker, so we are following something from what we have on the left side, and we continue with the lighting, maybe it will unify it more, and maybe even if we repeat the orange light coming from the other side. Yeah, so for me it's kind of hard to orient it in this scene, so it would be much easier if we either focus only on the test tube and the person on the left side, or if we do it from the other side, like we'll just focus on the area here. But like putting those two worlds together, somehow it's confusing me. So probably a little bit different composition and the lighting, just to really put everything together, make it more compact.
Martin?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the very detailed person on the right, as Egon mentioned, is the first thing that really draws the attention. Also, one thing that I'd like to point out is having lines like this, very noticeable lines in your image that basically go into your characters, and cutting them at some point is you should definitely avoid it every time. The solution for darkening the background here would surely work for that. So watch out, especially for cutting heads of your characters with straight lines like this. That's always like, it's not really good for composition.
But why, Martin? Tell us why.
It feels like something's growing into your characters, or like, cutting them basically, and somehow from a human standpoint it doesn't feel right, and shapes are blending together, and from the first, usually this is the first thing you go to with your eyes, and it feels a little bit disturbing. So definitely avoid that. By the way, there is a book called How to Grow Monkeys. that made me laugh. But definitely, as Egon mentioned, don't be afraid to crop, guys. I feel like if this image was vertical, it would be so much better.
Nice. Thanks, Martin. Jesse, do you want to say something here?
Yeah, absolutely. So I really like the tube in the middle. The shader is so well done. The inside is well done. You can clearly see the shape of the monkey head while also being very mysterious at the same time. Glowing eyes immediately draw the viewer's attention to it. So as well as the light inside of the tube. So that's really well done. And I'm assuming it's the same monkey as the one on the left on the screen, but I'm not entirely sure about that, but they look kind of similar. So yeah, that's really well done. And I completely agree on this image could have done with just less in it inside of on the sides, I guess, and darkening the background a little bit. As well as one thing I tend to notice when doing characters inside of your projects is that we as humans have the tendency to look at other humans. That's just how we're built. So whenever you put, especially in this case, you have the female on the side of the monkey, your eye is very quickly drawn towards the female or towards the human instead of looking at what I'm supposing is to be the focal point, which is the monkey. So, yeah. But overall, still a great image and great texturing, especially.
Yeah. I think, especially when you're dragging pre-made assets, I guess these characters are. You, on the one hand, have to be careful that the styles align, because this human here is very realistic, and this human here looks a bit more cartoony, I guess. So, and I imagine like taking out these two characters from the scene would make it probably way better. It's nice to have this character here, especially when you're not good in character modeling or just learning everything or just grabbing some assets from online. Showing them from behind, maybe just a silhouette, is probably way better to do here instead of like showing them very close to the camera. And you can see without these two characters, the main focus is directly here on the Suzanne, and then we are looking over here, the screen. We might even make the screen glow a bit and tint down the brightness of the character to just have a person sitting there. And then it would have this dark, evil vibe to the image much more. I just assume this was intention here because of the red eyes of the monkey in the tube. But yeah, that's pretty much my input here. So anyone else want to say something?
I would also add that when you import some assets from outside in any program you're using, pay attention to the normals. I think we have some kind of normals issues here or texturing issues, because I don't think this is part of the shading of the character itself, because it looks very strange.
Might be a shadow, not sure.
It's too hard for being a shadow. I don't know. Anyway, pay attention to this kind of things. And also, something that I would adjust it just a bit is the difference in details between some objects and others. Because, for example, here we have some nice drops and texturing on this big tube, but then we have just this very clean I don't know, structure. I would definitely add some imperfections, maybe some dirt and everything, something like this. Also here, some maybe liquid stains, since we see some drops that are on this container here. So this would make this part dirty as well, I guess. And also on this table, we have very harsh angles. I would add some bevel to it, maybe. And that's the main thing for me. Everything else has been said.
All right.
Yeah.
So I think maybe we should move a tiny bit quicker here. Otherwise, the live stream will be super long. So let's continue to the next one. It's Pro Arena still from Constantin.
Training, not pro.
Have I said
Pro.
training? It's pro. It's pro.
Pro, good.
It's bro.
Okay.
So let me drag this over. Can I? Yeah. Oop. So who hasn't talked much? Egon, maybe?
Okay. Yeah, I remember this one from our judging. It's a very clean image, very technically well done. This afternoon light is coming nicely with soft shadows. It can be maybe a little bit more yellow, but it's not that distracting. The texturing, details, everything is like very well done. The only part what we are missing here is this science-led theme. For me, it looks more like some kind of a classroom. What probably there's like more story we can always find. Technically and composition-wise, it's very nice. What's a little bit distracting is this. I will just use a little bit different. This kind of like cactus or something in here. So that's probably has no particular use in the composition. So I will just get rid of that. it'll be much cleaner. Also, I have a little bit problem with the cutting the dog leg here because he already lost one. Probably they are trying to fix it with some experiment. It would be cool, like even crop it even more, like the whole bottom part, or like have the whole like be visible. It will probably help the story. It's just about the cropping of the image a little bit because, for example, we don't need that much of image on the top. We can just like lose a little bit of here, and we will have these nice lines and this coming. Actually, yeah. Then we have again aligning this cable with the light, which we just mentioned. Aligning two objects together, it's a little bit disturbing. So be careful about that. But if we do a little bit of cut, and then we can have this frame coming out of it. Will be nice detail. We will have this top molding coming out of it, and we will have the whole dog in the frame. So a little bit more of the table, so it's not that close to the edge. There will be just tiny little bit tiny adjustments that would really help. But otherwise, this is very clean, very precise. That's probably what would also help a little bit. Now it's kind of hazy, a little bit more contrast. Like if it doesn't work on the first try with the renderer, don't be worried. Do the post production and tweak the curves levels, and give it a little bit of contrast, maybe a little bit of vignette, so you will hide the corners which you don't need that much, and you will put more focus on this part. Technically, color palette's beautiful. It's very subtle, very well blended, like the brownish earthy tones with this green chalkboard in the background. All works well, just probably work with the contrast and a little bit of cropping. The story, that's why I would say it's very subject that everybody will find something or will not find, but the technically a little bit of improvements in the terms of contrast on my side.
Yeah, I have to say that I also totally love the image in general. Feels great, nice lighting and so on. Totally agree on that. I think one thing, because I read in the comments that where is the leg? And when you look a little bit closer, it's of course the story of the image that the dog is missing a leg. And the father, I guess, is building a leg here. You can see it here. The problem is that you can't really see it. It has basically the same color as the background. It's very bright. And we are also very far away from the table, which makes it even harder to see. You can also see this is also a hint of the story going on here. So I guess somehow I would probably, sorry for zooming in and out, I would probably get rid of some of the space around the whole scene to just go a bit closer in general. So not recommending just cropping everything, but moving the camera a bit closer, maybe changing the position of the dog a bit, which might help, and change the color of the leg. I guess I would make it somehow darker or change the background to be darker so the leg is easily visible. And aside from that, I think what bothers me most is the pose of the dog. It somehow looked very stiff, as if this is like a dead animal, a stuffed animal somehow. So I guess you could probably add some dynamic pose to the back part, because the dog is standing on one leg. And right now it feels as if he has four legs, but one of them is invisible. So maybe you should look at some references on how like 3-leg dogs are moving to understand how the center or the mass is probably going a bit over to the side here, so that it's balancing on the back leg, I guess. I'm not an expert in this field, but yeah, these are my points. So, Masha, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, just one little thing. I would consider to maybe switch the bookshelf with this. Oh God, how is it called in English? I don't remember.
Chalkboard, blackboard.
Yeah.
Green
I
board.
mean, this part, since it's important for storytelling and it also have darker colors, it might be more might have more contrast with the main character, and also tell us a little bit more about the story, and it's more evident in the center. Maybe, I don't know, I would consider this, and also add some more mess into the library, since the books are like super perfectly aligned together. And even if you're like order maniac, it's impossible to align the books in this way in real life. In real life, they always have like maybe just a little bit different distance, or I don't know, disaligned just a bit with each other, and so on. Yeah. Apart from that, everything has been said already.
All right,
I
I
just
think
wanted
that's
to add real quick, sorry,
yeah.
regarding Jen's point about the haze and the general and the adjusting the curves and that sort of thing. A really, really easy way to do that is to just in the compositing side of Blender, just use a color correction node and adjust the gamma down a little bit, because you've got these really nice dark spots, these ones here that clearly show that there is some contrast in the image, and you've got the really obviously lots and lots of bright spots. But what gamma does is it leaves those two sides of the spectrum alone, and it adjusts the middle. So if you drop the gamma, it'll make the stuff in between those 2 points a bit denser, and that'll probably help a lot with the hazy sort of feeling.
All right, good. So let's clean this up and get to the next one from Corin, Pro Arena. So, Martin, you make some noises. Do you want to say anything?
I make noises. I have like we talked about this one again a lot when in the judging process. And, what did we decided that maybe going like without the screens here that add a lot of visual interest here, but it makes everything too confusing. Would maybe improve the image. Just having the scientist there and this orb or like this sphere with the alien inside, just having that there would improve it so much, because otherwise this is an amazing piece, and especially this area here, I love how it looks with the eye inside and the textures and everything. That's a great work, but there is too much confusion with the colors and everything. By the way, I really dislike this color combination. So, sorry. So it would green and red. Don't do it, please. Yeah, that would improve it a lot, and I believe like it would be in our finalists, I believe, if it wasn't for the screens here. So that would be a really quick fix, and I would love to see that from the author to try it without the screens and see how it looks. Otherwise, this is full of details. Maybe this part here with the cables is taking too much attention here. Oh, there's a rat. Okay.
There's another one up there.
Cool. I didn't notice it the
Another
first
one
time. So awesome. It can stay there, but there shouldn't be too many highlights on this part here if you want people to focus on this part. So this is a little bit redundant, even though it's awesome. So yeah, that's my suggestions for this piece. And Egon is already cropping inside.
Yeah. It just works so much better if you realize it. Even that scientist, because we have these beautiful robots in the background, they are helping the mad scientist, and this whole composition is just beautiful. You have like all those nice and leading lines here. Just have to switch. Okay, we have these leading lines everywhere. Everything is just pointing our eye. Even these chains, everything goes to the central point. And the central point is also nicely illuminated. It just draws your attention, and it's very well done. So I think we have already many good elements which are like framing the complete story here. So we can afford to drop some elements and just have only those great ones, and they will be like framing the central point. But otherwise, it's beautiful. I really love the texturing on the pipes, small details with the reds, the texture of the eye, just perfectly done. Just sometimes a little bit less is more.
Yeah.
Corin is in the chat, and he mentions that he tried doing it without the screens, but the tank itself wasn't giving enough light to the foreground. And he asks the question, you can do that. Nice. There you go.
Oh, nice.
Well, I mean, the really easy way is to just cheat it by adding a light that doesn't have a source a little, but angle it and color it so that it looks like it's coming from the tank. You can just stick a light in there and brighten it, the whole thing up, and you can't see that it's not coming from the tank. Yeah.
And actually,
Just
if there
fake
was
it.
like a glow, like a soft glow, dividing the scientist from the background, that would work amazingly, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, behind the scientist, not like can't do it now, of course.
And you could also have taken the scientist towards the camera just a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because then he becomes part more of the foreground, and then you can just put highlights on him.
Yeah.
And create the separation that way.
Yeah, I mean, you don't even need to like completely darken the screens. Just maybe make them less like not too bright, so that and maybe change the color. And I think this way it would be even good, like just okay.
Yeah, maybe the circle shape with the octopus inside. I think maybe this could be even a bit bigger.
Yeah.
Just trying to imagine something like this, and then we would have the dark silhouette of the scientist somewhere here. Might work as well. Not sure.
Yeah, with
but
strong
seeing-
highlights maybe.
Yeah, this could have worked as well. Maybe.
I think story-wise, this is one of the strongest submissions.
Yeah.
It just feels like something taken straight out of the movie. Like it's part of a bigger story. You can feel it through the scientists, the robots, everything.
The monster
very
really
immersive.
reminds me of Shredder. I don't know if anybody knows that, but from Teenage Mutant Ninja
Oh.
Turtles.
Of
yeah.
course, of course.
Never thought about it.
Good
But
time.
yeah,
The
I think
robots are so cool as well.
I think we can all agree that we're sort of nitpicking here, and overall, this is an amazing piece.
It's great.
So great work, Corin. Really, really awesome. So let's get to the next one. Egon, I think your layer is somehow messed up there.
Oh yeah, okay, mask. Okay, and done.
So next one is by Daria. Daria. Oh, this one is big. Let's make it a bit smaller. So Masha, it's your turn.
I actually like this work very much. I mean, the figure on the background, the siren, is that a siren? I guess so. And the little baby Yoda, they look great.
Grogu.
Yeah. I think they look great, and in general, the artwork looks pretty cool. And I don't know, it's really hard to find something I don't really like in this image. Maybe maybe some details or anything, because yeah, we have a great story here, very interesting. But then we zoom in, and when we go and watch the mermaid or siren, or I don't know how to call her, we see that the container she's in, it's kind of like doesn't look really believable, because I don't know, I would imagine something with some bubbles here and there. Maybe the hands should leave like we should see them pressed on the glass, and they usually leave some like brighter signs here or something like this. And maybe the glass should have some more details and dirt and glass liquid stains maybe here and there, and so on. And the same thing we see on the containers on in the front. They're very well done. They have a good shape, but there's some kind of lack of details on them. And same thing, maybe on the table I would add some like more mess, just more mess here and there. Yeah. By
Make
the
it more
way,
dirty.
this part is very cool. I like it so much. Very nice.
Yeah, I also think it's a really great image, clear composition. There's just like this one tiny tweak I would do, which is increasing the brightness a bit or the contrast, basically adjusting the levels so that everything pops a little bit more. Of course, if you compare it to other images in directly, you can see it's a bit dim in general. But I think this tiny tweak would already improve it quite a bit. Yeah. Jesse.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's one of those images again, which for me is a very original take on the overall prompt for the challenge. So it's definitely a science lab, but it also has this very moody and unique vibe to it. One thing I would like to mention is we were discussing as we were talking about it, and we're kind of I don't know what the correct English word, but is like grilled or something by the fact they were cooking this baby Yoda over here in the cheese. So we're not sure what they're trying to extract from it, but it's kind of sad.
A little bit.
That's the whole point of the story, I guess.
Yeah, probably, but I mean, it does sell in that sense, right? So it really,
works.
It intrigues at least, yeah. Like Masha said with this thing over here, for me personally, you could just remove it entirely.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind it just being gone in the image. And overall, I think
are there eyes inside?
Yeah, I think so.
Little
Like
eyes?
I think they
eyes
are
in
eggs,
here.
like
Oh,
from,
eggs.
from
Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh,
the
okay.
lady. Same
Yeah.
down here in the
Noticed them.
glass.
Oh yeah, okay, so that sort of makes sense. But yeah, in like the lighting and compositing, I feel this is one of those images that would really work when it's a movie or an animation, because the dim lighting works better when you have more time to sort of take the scenario in, I guess, in an animated or movie version. But when it's these types of images, I would say don't be afraid to just push that a little bit more. Just make this light a little bit stronger. Maybe generate some extra highlights inside of her hair, get that nice hair shine in there. Maybe get some stronger highlights on the shoulders or on the hands, just sort of enhancing the overall silhouette of this siren, I guess we're calling it.
By the way, maybe they're not cooking the baby Yoda. They're just keeping it warm.
Yeah.
Warm and
Eggs.
fuzzy, yes.
Yes,
They're not boiling the baby. They're just trying to keep it comfortable.
Okay.
Yeah.
It might need a little bit more space then. But
By the way, I don't think it's a baby. I think it's very old. But
It's just
Put
an
it
ugly
aside.
baby.
Yeah.
I mean,
And,
we have lots of questions, and that's a good thing because it makes us think, right, about the
that
image.
means
and-
the mermaid's more concerned that the candle's about to go out. She's like, no, switch it for the other
Oh,
one.
yeah.
It needs to stay warm.
maybe,
Yes.
maybe, yeah.
Where's the people responsible?
not in the chat, I guess.
Yes.
All right, okay. I think let's continue. We said some good
But
things about
really,
it.
like just one spotlight here. That would be
Yeah.
awesome.
Exactly.
All right, let's get to the next one. Pro Arena by Pirmin, if I pronounce the name right. So that one looks quite cool. And I guess Jesse has to start here because there's one
Why?
thing. Because of
Um,
the boxes.
Yeah, so my favorite thing is these crates here. I really like those. I'm not going to disclose why. You guys can check that out for yourself, but I really like those crates. No, but for real, overall, nice storytelling in here. So it feels like they're sort of saving this last tree, I guess, because the trees outside are all very dead, and the sky is all blackened out, and apparently the sun is shining, so it's not looking like we're living at a healthy Earth over here, or whatever planet it is. So they saved this last planet, or this last tree, and they added all this tubing and everything, giving it this like hospital vibe. So maybe it's getting fed oxygen. So there's a nice story going on in here. For me, I think overall this could have done again with just a little bit more of a darkened, maybe even a darkened foreground in this case, just so you can more enhance the silhouette of this figure, as well as enhance the silhouette of the tree just a little bit more, because I feel it could use just that little bit extra to really sell the story here. It is apparent what's going on, but for me, one of the focal points in this image, which I kind of like, but I don't think it's intended, is the crate here, and it should have been this thing, with this as a secondary focal point, in my opinion, at least.
All right. Who hasn't talked much lately? Martin, maybe?
Oh no, I don't know. I'm thinking about the character. In a lot of these pieces, the characters are actually kind of like putting me off because they have different level of detail. Or I'm not sure. Something is not quite right about the character. Maybe the way its legs are floating and the subsurface scattering is not right. I know it's a very hard, very difficult thing to do, but
Martin knows for sure.
I know, I know very well. So I don't mean it as a very big criticism, but the level of the artwork is it's all very well done, and the character is the level of detail of the character is bringing me out of it a little bit. So yeah, definitely, if you add characters to your artwork, try to really bring them up to the same level as everything else in the scene. Otherwise, everybody's eyes will immediately gravitate to that character, and there will be something wrong with it in the eyes of the audience. So that's what's a little bit like bringing down the quality of this artwork for me. Otherwise, I love the atmosphere and the story idea. So it's just a little bit of pity.
Egon, you haven't talked much
not too much to add. I just wanted to mention that this color palette here is again very well done. Nice combination of the tones, and we have like really good palette, which give us this like dark, apocalyptic kind of feel. And still, it's not hopeless because we still have some bright colors in the scene. So very well done.
Yeah.
One thing I'd just like to add really quick is that the box appears to be floating over here. So just to break up the perfection of the placement of the boxes, like they're all perfectly level. It could just be nice to have this one box tilted so that it's sort of resting on that lower section as well as on the top. Zach's way ahead of me. Just because then that would fix the floating issue and also break up those perfect placements and stuff. But I agree the background is amazing, and I think the detail in the foreground is really good. So yeah.
Well, I just wanted to mention this as well, that I really like the atmosphere of the background, which really totally adds to the image a lot. So great work on that. One minor thing here, if this should be some sort of liquid, I would make it more transparent and add some details to it. Same as to the crates here, add some like edge wear and stuff like this. There's a good tutorial from a person which might be here in this.
No idea.
Who's that person?
Anyway, okay. I think most important things has been said. Let's continue to the next one. Okay, now we are jumping back to the training arena, and now we are looking at the highlights. So basically, we picked 5 artwork which we liked a lot. So, and let's start here with Adam.
And one thing I wanted to mention, both in training arena and especially in pro arena, this was probably the most difficult challenge we ever had, like for the stand-up point of picking the finalists. So every
Yeah, it was
single
really
piece
hard.
in the finalists in both arenas, we fought long and hard, and we're absolutely not sure who to pick because there were so many good pieces in this competition.
Yeah.
Yeah. Masha, you haven't talked in a while. Will you start?
Okay. So this is a very nice piece. I mean, we have a nice sci-fi scene, but with different colors from usual, and this looks quite original. And I like it a lot. And we also have a very nice, like a lot of details here and there. The human here, it looks very good, and the scene is very well done. My only concern is maybe about the materials in general of the scene. I would give it some more variation, especially to the overall ambient. Like this one and this element here, they have both same amount of roughness apparently, and I think that giving some variation from this point of view would make it feel more like it's something real, because we have like something pointing to be like a real thing, a realistic looking thing. And this would be the main thing for me in general. And also, I would try to work a bit more on the general lighting, because for me personally, all the lights everywhere, it looks very confusing. And if I look this on this image from far away, I I have this big tree, okay, but then I have all these lights everywhere that basically distract me, and I don't have really anything to really focus on. And also this human here, that should be like not the main subject, but an important element we should look at. I mean, we barely notice it because it gets confused with the background. So I would try to make it stand out more. Maybe give it a different color, give it sweet a different color, or maybe, I don't know, uh, with the lighting, maybe you can make like darker lighting with some like rim lights on the character and the tree in general. I mean, there are different solutions for this. This is the main thing for me.
I can totally imagine this image where the room is mainly dark,
Yeah.
and we have all these nice lights going around here. Oops. Come on. So we have these nice lights going around here. We have all these lines here, and we also have these scanners going into the tree. Just imagine everything is pretty dark around here, and the tree would then pop way more, and these circular shapes around here with like these glowing lines would probably just support the tree in the center. I'm not even sure if it would be good to remove these little glowing balls on the tree.
Yeah.
At least when everything is bright, it just adds a bit more to the confusion, as Marsha said, since we have so many little things. Yeah. For bright scene, I would imagine to remove the dots, the balls, and then you have a clearer silhouette of the tree. Egon?
I was just trying to darken the background while we were speaking, because that would really help to pop out the element, but I didn't have the right brush on the hand. Yeah, it's very nice futuristic look of this scene, and the work with the light and putting the main focus on the tree in the middle would really definitely make it really shine. But I really like the futuristic look and the nice smooth lines of the interior. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, you have this little holograph. I lost my brush. You have this. Oh, it's too big now. Sorry, guys, but you have this little holographic stuff here. So it's a perfect justification for having a rim light on your character, and that would bringing it out a little bit more. So that would be the one thing that would immediately improve it a lot. Just
Yeah.
my idea.
But also, I think looking at this, it feels very passenger. It has this passenger vibe from the movie, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But it feels almost inhuman in a sense because it's so clean and it's so futuristic that it sort of draws away from the human aspect. And I wouldn't mind it at all if you just remove the character altogether and for basically adding in life, you have both the tree and these little droids over here, which are doing some work, which is relevant to something. But you have these as a focal point besides the tree and adding some sort of life. And by removing the character, you remove a sort of distracting element from this image, which I think really works because the overall vibe of this thing already feels alien in a way because it's so clean and it's so bright and very different from what we're used to here on Earth.
Yeah. And the little drone's already taking care of the tree, so
Yeah.
we probably don't need the human here.
So you can just highlight these just a little bit more.
Yeah.
And just remove the character altogether.
But
and also,
who's
if
taking
it's so
care
clean,
of the droids?
Oh yeah, maybe it is. But if it's such a clean
The
environment,
AI.
it doesn't make sense for
Another
me
droid,
personally.
yeah.
If
They
the
take care
character.
of each other.
Sorry, Jesse. Sorry.
Oh
Jesse.
no.
I don't think we are listening to you anymore. I think we've moved on.
That's fine.
No, please continue.
That's fine.
It's
No
my
problem.
fault.
No, I just felt like if it's such a clean environment and it seems to me to be clean, I mean these floors are absolutely spotless. Then why would the character have like a hazmat suit on?
Yeah, that's right.
We have seen this a lot in this challenge in many different shapes
Okay,
and
so
forms.
Adam's in the chat. He's said the droids are scanning for Christmas presents.
It makes sense.
It does look a
Because
little bit
we
like
all
a
know
Christmas
that
tree.
the Christmas presents appear in the branches of the tree.
Yeah.
Of course. Alan, do you want to say something for this artwork? Just so you're not quiet all the time.
I think it's pretty much all been said. I guess the thing that I want to add as a positive, I like the color and vibe of it. That it's somehow not typical. It's as Jesse said, it's very passengers like. So that's one plus for me. Is it feels like a unique environment. I kind of picture myself if I was playing a video game. It'd be a fun environment to run around and just see the robots working and maybe have a shootout in there or something like that.
I think that's why we picked it because of the different color palette and different atmosphere.
It feels very intentional, and I like that.
Yeah.
So great work, Adam. Let's continue with the next one, training arena highlights. From Bart. And now the older people will remember this.
Are you calling me old?
We're all old here.
Oh, damn.
That's
Bunch of
stop.
boomers.
This is supposed to be a nice live stream, and they're attacking my age now.
So yeah,
To the internet.
This is of course inspired by the Flubber movie from the 90s.
Yeah.
So
If I don't know it, does it mean I'm young?
No, just
Not
out of
really.
love.
No.
No, I'm old and ignorant.
Oh, the one with Robin Williams.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I have to watch this with my kids.
You should. It's amazing in the most bizarre of ways. So
Yeah.
It's a very 90s movie. It is
super 90s.
super 90s.
Yeah, we are recently watching like all the old 90s or maybe even older movies, which is quite fun. After so many years to rewatch them. And sometimes I think, yeah, they are still good. So, okay. Egon, will you start here?
Definitely. This is really cool art, and I really liked it the first moment I spotted it. It's so funny. Actually, I haven't seen a flubber, so it means I might be young or ignorant. Big one. And I really like the work with the materials here, and also with the depth of field. That camera nicely separates the foreground and background from the main focal point. Really love the material of that small flubbery guy. And also when you look at the whole scene, it seems extremely clean, but somehow you are not bored by that because that funny situation is happening like at the lower part of the image, and it immediately directs your attention. It's not nicely framed by all the elements you have in the scene. So we have this clean place for the story, which is really good. So I don't really mind if we have this microscope and different flasks and tubes in the background, because it's something I will discover later in the image. And it's this is just like giving me good feel, because it's very dynamic. You see the simple guy running away. I like the materials, and it's really like I don't know. It's just struck me like this is the story here, and then I was discovering like all the things around, all the materials, the depth of field, the like color palette is very simple. Like we are working with mainly like 3 colors here, and it works well. So thumbs up for this one. Simple one and very clean.
Yeah. Jesse?
Yeah, absolutely. This is for me one of those images that really hits the nostalgia vibe and brings back those memories of watching the movie. So first of all, that's a job well done in my eyes. And I really like the fact that all throughout this image we have this green substance, and which is also the character, of course. So it makes sense to have all this green substance around it, and they're experimenting with it. And overall, the lighting, it is a bit flat. It might be considered a little bit boring, but I think it really works. And it also mimics the style of the movie as well, which is very similar in that way in lighting. So overall, I think this is a very well done image. And for me, the things that could use maybe a little bit of work is I noticed the area over here seems to be somewhat, I don't know, unsubdivided, I guess. I have the feeling I'm seeing like these edges over here, which is always a shame to see. I think it's super easy to just add a subdivision surface there, maybe to those small details, just to give them that extra bit of realism, as well as these cables over here could use a little bit of work just to make them less rigid overall. Maybe just flow them through the scene just a little bit more realistically. But yeah, overall, a super well done image with a great story.
I think one cool thing to mention here is that we have this little guy here, but it's green, but we have all this other green going on here, but the other green is not distracting because it's a bit darker. This one is like through the refraction and reflection, and the lighting is shining a bit more, so it pops out directly, and the background is white, so we can see the silhouette really nicely. So it's like the first thing you look at, which is really good.
Yeah. And we also have all these lines driving the attention towards the subject. It's very nice.
Yeah.
It was also nice to see that this was one from the community as well. This was there was several iterations of this with different lighting and different layouts and things like that. So a lot of feedback and things went into making this. So it was really nice to see the progression.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
One last thing I would like to mention is maybe adding some more like weight shape, like because this creature is running on the tips, but it feels like it has no weight because we have like no liquid concentrated on the tips he's like standing on. So this is the only thing I would change here.
Martin, I can feel it. You want something?
And I am muted. Much better. Thank you, Zach. So one thing that confused me a lot is this pose of the leg, because for the longest time I thought he's actually like, the knee is bent like this, so I thought he's going towards this spot here. Instead he's running away, but the knee should be the opposite way, right? I know it's a liquid, but
I don't think it's a knee. I think it's more like this, and this is the feet. Yeah,
still
and
it
here we
confused
have-
the heck out of me. So yeah, some pose like this would be much clearer, but that's it.
Yeah.
All right. Great. And let's continue to the next one. So next one, highlights of the training arena by Fathul. Egon, I think you can start with this one.
Yeah, this was also one of my favorites. It looks like a visual explosion filled with noise, but it's like far from truth, because as you look at it, it's like very dynamic picture. Like there's a lot of story inside, and it's very dynamic. And as you look at it, you see this droid making these weird experiments with different liquids. And it's like dynamic cooking of the kids when you have them in a kitchen. Like flour is everywhere, everything is on the table, everything is in the air, like everything is dirty. So it's super cool that the droid is doing this crazy kiddie stuff. And actually, when you look longer on the picture, you clearly see all the elements. You nicely see the droid. You don't have any troubles. I will just grab some good pen for it. Beautifully see the silhouette of the droid. You have like all the attention of his different tentacles doing something. So it's the story is really there, and very, very, very fast one. And you don't have a troubles like seeing all the different like effects, those VFX. I think they're a bit planes, but they are very well done. So you feel them; they are part of the scene and are very natural. You see a lot of those particles in the air, so something went either perfectly right or horribly wrong. But since it's so very colorful, I would suspect the positive version of the experiment. And the composition is really good. If you look for the thirds, you have the droid here, you have the table here. So the focal points are perfectly done. And the light, also we have this blue fog behind the droid. So we nicely see the shape. So it's very nicely defined. We also have a table like this contour is darker, so you can nicely see the edge of the table. And then you all of a sudden start to realize how many different parts of the experiments are everywhere. They are a little bit in the haze, a little bit in the fog, but as you look further, you will see them that they are all nicely and eligible in the scene. So the color palette is very playful, and this whole image is like very vibrant. The colors are like, I would say crazy, but they would probably bring the wrong connotation. But the colors are very lively and very playful. So this is good experiment and good lab for me.
Nice. Daniel, do you have something?
Yeah, I like the fact that like it's not just a flat color or a gradient for the background. It's you got this sort of super defocused details back there, which is really quite nice. And I agree with everything that Jan said. I think it's all working very, very well. A couple of minor things that
Egon, can you move your mouse?
How?
Oh, sorry.
Ruining my spiel. Sorry. One is that there you can clearly see the geometry in the cables and in the tentacles. That there are these sort of points where it could really do with a bit of smoothing, which would help a lot. Also, this green puff bothers me just because it's not coming from anything. As far as I can tell, it seems to just be emitting from the edge of the table. But yeah, they're pretty minor things. In general, I really, really like it.
Yeah, not sure if this has been said, but I think just adding a little bit more details here on the robot texture-wise would probably go a long way. This is just a minor addition And I also love this image. Whoops, this was too much. Come back, please. There it is. Sorry. Jesse, Marsha, anyone want to add something?
Yeah, just one minor thing is that this area of the robot is really dark. So since we have all this glowing stuff down here, we have a good excuse for placing some fake rim lights. So this part here would stand out a bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Great
I
tip.
agree with that. And I also completely agree with, and please forgive me if I butcher your name, but Thomas's statement in the chat. So when you first look at the image, it feels very chaotic, and you're like, what's going on? But the more you look at it, the more clear it becomes,
Yeah.
which I think is really good because there is a clear separation again between like the main focus of the image, which is, I guess, this part in particular, and the separation with the background. So that really works for me. And the one thing that really struck me as kind of odd, and that's probably just a lighting thing, but because there's so many lights in here in the scene, especially around this table, I'm sort of losing a shadow here, and it makes me feel like there's no ground or the table is floating somehow, which I mean, it could happen if it's a science experiment, but no, yeah, generally speaking, I would like to have maybe just a clearer texture on the ground. Just adding in tiles, for example, could have fixed that. Just getting a more realistic ground, because now it feels like the table's floating to me.
All right. Good job. Let's continue. So still a highlight from the training arena from PK Manor. Maybe let's scale it down a bit. How can I scale it? Here. Whoops. And let's zoom in here. Okay, Martin. Or
I
who's
made
drawing?
noises again, right?
Sorry. I wanted to move around.
So yeah, judging by my noises, you probably guessed that I like this piece. But no, not but. First, I really like it. The highlight is awesome, and here, even though there's a lot of chromatic aberration, it kind of works. It's not distracting because the main focus of the image is kind of clearly visible, even though this force field or whatever it is maybe too opaque. Maybe a little less opacity could work there, but otherwise the highlight of the piece and all the little details there, along with the top lighting on the cyborg here, it just works perfectly for me. This is so cinematic. I love it. I love it works perfectly for me. The only thing is the left side of the artwork is drowning in darkness a little bit, so I would ever so slightly highlight the character, maybe here. And also another thing that's bothering me is the color of the skin. I know it's not a skin. It seems like a robot. I mean, this bottom part is clearly robotic, and the skin is like very close to skin, but it's not skin because we know it's a robot. So maybe I would go like a little bit adventurous and make the color of the skin actually something totally different, like blue or red. It might work better, in my opinion. But otherwise, yeah, this is my top piece for the training arena.
A dummy, someone says. Maybe it's a advanced futuristic crash test dummy.
Yeah, maybe.
Marsha?
Yeah, I actually don't have so much to like criticize here because the piece it's looking very cool. You have all these little details and stuff going around. The composition drives your eyes perfectly to the subject. I agree with Martin regarding the skin tone. You might have made it in totally different color from the real skin, so it's clear that it's not a human. And apart from that, maybe I would remove this kind of container or I don't know if it's a container or a force field, but I think it's not really necessary here because we already have all this stuff going around that is kind of containing the robot or the cyborg.
Or the dummy.
So yeah, the dummy. So, but we also have all the nice details here. But I don't know. Uh, yeah, I would try this without this force field and then see what happens. Maybe it would look more clean and your attention would go like right to the subject.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Someone in the comments mentioned that could be cropped, maybe crop out the dark parts a little bit. Not-
Yeah, like that would be good, I think.
Yeah.
yeah,
Because you want to maintain that dude on the left. I think he's a cool addition.
yeah. And I'm not sure, like composition wise, is this problematic to have this thing cutting through the character? Might it better to be somewhere around here? Like,
Yeah,
if this
I
would be
agree.
the foreground part. So basically, it's flipped as it is now.
Yeah. Might be
Good
better.
idea. Yeah.
It could go down lower as well, just
Yeah.
sort of like the top one.
And one other little addition I would maybe, my brush is pretty big here, to add a little bit of highlights to the legs because they are like pretty much invisible in the dark. So that would
Yeah, that's what I
probably
would have
help.
said as well.
Yeah.
I
Right.
think you could also make a choice in this case between just maybe either only using these and just removing this one and this one altogether, or removing the arms and just taking the rings, because the rings sort of imply there's some robotic stuff going on, because why else create these very expensive looking rings? And that would mean, at least in my eyes, from a futuristic standpoint, you wouldn't necessarily need these, which are more looking like Karpe manufacturing robot arms, you know. So I would either go for either these or just the rings alone.
Yeah. Anyone else? Egon, maybe?
Just one more thing, like really appreciate the distribution of the detail here, because all the important detail stuff is happening at the focal point, and everything else is subdued to the background. It's just hidden. We don't even know if it's detailed, but we still have these lines glowing in the dark. But it's not. There is nothing distracting. So the distribution of the like high frequency details and low frequency details is very well done on this one. I really appreciate it.
Nice. All right. So last highlight from the training arena by Ryan Choi. Let's scale it down a bit. So who hasn't talked much? Anyone? Jesse, maybe?
Yeah, I'll start. Yeah, I really like this piece. It was one of my favorites as well from the training arena. Again, because it's so different from the other ones. And it has great style in that sense. It has this Ghibli a movie feel for me to it. So I really like the lighting, the warmth, and the fact that a science lab doesn't necessarily have to be a very eerie and cold and hard place. But, you know, scientists are people too. So they kind of like a nice cozy place to work in as well. So I like that approach in this one. And overall, I like the texturing, even though it's very basic. It works very well because it's done consistently all across the image. So I really like that. And the main thing I would critique on this image is it could use maybe a little bit more story, because it just feels like a well executed sort of science lab. But what's going on here? Where's the scientist? Did he leave? Maybe the door should be open. and the stool should be dropped on its side just to create a little bit more story, a little bit more interest. And that could also be done with the camera work. So in this case, we have a very head-on camera angle from the side with a very flat focal length, but maybe the camera should just be a little bit lower and pointing slightly towards the door, and then you open up the door so you can create a little bit more of a story using a couple small details as well as a different angle for the camera.
I think the person is clearly on the restroom, as you can see.
Yeah.
Who's here?
Oh yeah, well that makes sense too.
Why would you take off your flip-flops when you go
Yeah.
to the restroom?
Maybe you need some boots.
They have carpet in the toilet.
maybe the toilet is outside.
Yeah. But then the shoes should stand up here, I guess.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Okay, his lower section shoes. Clearly, he needs
Yes.
to swap into his toilet shoes.
Mm-hmm. So there's two areas here. This is the flip-flop area. Anyway.
Martin, you want to add something,
Okay.
something constructive?
Yeah,
You opened
sorry,
your
guys.
mouth.
I know. The background is the biggest flaw for me. I first, let's start with the pluses. I love the stylization, and it's actually very difficult to make stylization work in 3D art, in my opinion. And here it works lovely, except for the background image. I don't know. I would do the background in the same style as the inside of the room. It kind of
Yeah.
feels off, different somehow. Maybe it's because there are no outlines there, or so the image feels very much 2D. Also, I would welcome some highlights here, like a glow from the window. There is almost always a little bit of glow when you look from the inside of a room to the outside. So that would, I guess, help a lot, even with some rays coming from here. It's very unclear where the sun is positioned.
I think a
outside.
night scene outside would work.
Maybe.
because we
Yeah.
already have
Mhm.
all these lights inside the room. So
Yeah.
it
And
would
all
look
it would
nice.
take would just be to change the image behind the windows.
Yeah. Daniel, do you have
Speaking of the image outside, actually, it's if you zoom in, it's probably hard to see on YouTube, but you can see that it's some sort of a PNG image or something that they've used for the trees. You can see all these little white outlines where it hasn't where the image hasn't been pre-multiplied properly or whatever. The alpha's not quite working like it should. And I think, like, I don't mind the fact that the outside doesn't have the outlines and stuff from the inside, just because it makes it a bit softer outside and it doesn't distract so much. But the green, it takes up so much outside. So maybe if it was sort of more down here, so you got a little bit more sky or something, just so it doesn't look like, I don't know, there's like flat green outside behind the tree. But I do really like it. There's a nice quality and nice sort of style to it. Yeah.
nice? Egon, Masha, anyone? Anything to add?
No,
All good?
I think.
Nope.
Yeah.
All good.
Oh, by the
So-
way, I wanted just one last thing is I wanted to highlight all the nice mess we can see around with the paper lying around and everything. It makes everything feel so much more like real and alive.
Yeah.
Well done.
By the way, who has left this yellow line here? Is this something from us? Or is this in the image?
It wasn't there before, so
Yeah.
if we all
No.
clear our things over here, it should be gone.
Who's yellow? The one's yellow.
Who's yellow?
Maybe it's me. It's me. Oh.
Ah.
Sorry.
Yeah, always blaming the others, right?
Who's done this? Oh, it's me. Oh, never mind. Sorry.
Okay, let's go over to the winners of the Pro Arena. So we start with the honorable mentions. So we have 2 honorable mentions and 3 winners. Let's start with Peter here. This is lovely image. So Egon, you want to start?
Yeah, why not? Yeah, this is so cool because it's again different approach about our thinking how testing lab should look like, or science lab. That we think that the humans should do the science. Now we see that the other way around it can work as well. And I really like the metaphor with using this lab mice, which is just the different version of our testing. And this image is very nicely done. The lighting, the background, foreground, everything has the right amount of the details. Again, working with a minimal number of colors in the palette helps this image, because you are concentrating only on the main subject, which is the robot testing subject, the lamp, and it's not very distracting. And I really appreciate all the work with the robot material. It's like drawing a lot of eye attention, that you see that it's not perfectly shiny, clean robot, futuristic one. It's like the old, like kind of worn out. And he's trying to do this as his test with the subject. And as I say, the framing is cool. There's plenty of details on the table. The background is out of focus, so we don't really concentrate on that very much. And there are like small, nice little details which makes this special, like the rim light on the robot. What you see, the green light from the background is giving this nice rim light. Let's change my pen. This nice rim light, so we are defining the shapes better. So it's popping it out. The mice has its own glowing line, so it's nicely defined. And the simple background even helps more, because we still have this table with a lamp in the background, but it's not disturbing, because what is behind the robot and mouse is are those blinds, and they are like creating this uniform bluish tones, which are really helping pop out the silhouette. So really good work. Maybe we can even get rid of the background lamp, because maybe that's not that important, or dim it a little bit more. But that's are just minor things we would improve or change. Otherwise, nice story, nice approach, and really well executed.
Nice. Jesse, do you have anything to add?
Yeah. Again, I really like the texturing in this one. I feel, even though the table might be a little bit too reflective, but the amount of detail that's on it is perfect. There's so much light being captured by all these small details, as well as this maze. It has amazing sort of foam board look to it, which I think is really well executed. So job well done there. The character feels alive, and it feels intentionally placed. So if we compare this to many of the other characters that we've seen in the pieces so far, you can really tell that the artist here took his or her time to really place this robot intentionally, give it this pose, have it look at the object, which is one of the better ones in that case, I think. And the one thing I kind of disliked about this image is this area over here, which feels a little bit too bright for me. So in my case, this could have been toned down, or maybe just removed overall, just to keep more of a focus on this part over here, basically, which is an amazing part. So anything that in my eyes draws away from this area is a distraction, and doesn't have to be there.
Yeah. For me, one thing, I love the whole image in basically every way. There's just this tiny thing with the head. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but maybe here on the chest area we have these harsh lines going on, mixed with some smooth lines. But down here it's kind of missing, so maybe one harsh line here. And somehow on the head, I don't know exactly what it is. Maybe it's eyebrow, which looks like a sausage, with maybe a sharp line there. And I don't know, maybe somewhere something that reflects the same shapes from the body, but maybe this would be too distracting. I'm not entirely sure here with having harsh lines.
You could make the body more rounded and remove the harsh lines.
Yeah, might be. Maybe even having the eye look a little bit more like a lens with reflections and refractions.
Oh yeah, I like that. Maybe make it even glow in a sense.
Yeah. That work.
Yeah, I mean, eye glowing is a hard thing because it's hard to make an eye glowing character without making it look evil.
Yeah, that's true.
Make it glow green.
Or blue. Just,
Blue.
very
Green is poison.
faint blue tint.
Or nature, but mostly poison.
Well, this kind of green is for sure, yeah.
I don't like green. No, I like green in nature, but I don't like blue. I don't like green glowing. Somehow doesn't like, I don't like it. But it's just personal things. So.
Okay, I don't like pink. So.
We've done a couple of tweaks. We've done a couple of tweaks for the background. I think for the left top corner, it's probably we can keep the green boxes. We just get rid of those rectangular lights and or tubes or what it was, and we can still keep the detail. It wouldn't be that distracting if we just cover that light source. And same for the lamp on the background table. And all of a sudden, everything pops out more. So just those small tweaks, and it'll be completely perfect.
Yeah, I mean, the main thing would be for with covering the backlights is that in this way you don't have any more justification for this nice room light here.
I think we can have that light source out of the scene. That would be still okay.
Yeah.
I mean, the style isn't necessarily realistic anyways. In it is stylized, so it's fine to add in a bit of lighting that's not coming from anywhere, maybe.
Yeah, it's just an easy fix.
One more thing, I think.
Daniel first, and then Ellen.
My turn. I just wanted to say two really minor things. Aside from all the good things about it, which are very, very good, including something that I'm not sure if it's been mentioned or not, like the really, really nice table texture. I absolutely love that, especially with the highlights. But it's just, there's a bit of a weird scale thing that I just noticed is these teeny tiny little mugs in the background. I don't know what's going on there, but they're teeny tiny, itty bitty little mugs.
It's the mouse that drinks it.
Especially right next to this one, which is quite large. And I don't know why, but unless it's some strange, very specific little coffee cup. I know there are some weird ones.
Yeah, it's
maybe
espresso.
One of those
espresso,
yeah.
Little teeny weeny espresso cup or
it's
something.
It's an Italian robot.
What else?
But yeah,
well, it's going to be ristretto.
even smaller,
yeah, ristretto, even smaller one. Okay.
By the way, Peter's in the chat. Hi, Peter. Great artwork.
Yeah, amazing.
Very nice.
Ellen, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, the one last thing I want to add is I think a bit of a characterization to the mouse itself, like a similar eye or something that makes it seem
More
a bit
alive.
autonomous might just add that teeny bit of story. Right now, the idea works really well, but there you go. Yeah, 2 eyes. I think that would help
agree.
match its character style to the main character as well.
Yeah.
And that would just be my small little detail.
Great. Okay, now everyone, please clean up your layers.
You're
a big mess here. Oops.
Did good work, but it needs to go away now.
All right, now we have the second honorable mention by Andreas. It's this one here. So, Masha, would you like to start?
Yeah, okay. I am in love with this work. I love the atmosphere. I love the general idea, the style with all this like old style things, but mixed with technology. It has a name, steampunk style. It looks very cool, very amazing for me. I love it very much. And I love the story of the dad showing his daughter how to build up weird inventions with all this technology stuff and so on. The colors are greatly combined together. We have some blue tones combined with the yellow and orange, and this is a combination I really love. And we have all these nice details here and there that makes the scene feel alive. Oh, what happened? I turned the image for mistake for myself. Okay, so I generally like this image a lot, and also we have this like subsurface scattering that it's quite exaggerated, but it doesn't feel bad for me because it makes me feel like I'm watching some kind of like stop motion movie or something like this. So but this is personal. I mean, for someone it might look bad, but for me it looks very nice and it fits nicely the scene. And I actually don't have any critiques about this because for me it's like super cool. I love it very much.
So Masha would have picked this one first, I guess.
Yeah.
Jesse?
Yeah, I really, really like this piece. It's another great example of well done art direction, and I really enjoy pieces that have that. So they make great choices for lighting, for all the small details, all the small steampunk style stuff, which really combines together to create one cohesive story for the image, which I think is very well done. I appreciate the characters as they are very well executed. However, for me personally, they sort of went into this uncanny valley somehow, but that's just my personal opinion. So it doesn't relate anywhere to the skill or talent that has been applied to them. But yeah, I sort of found them very dollish, like a doll. And the one thing that or actually there were two things that really struck me in this image, and the one is it doesn't necessarily feel as a science lab, more like a tinkering workshop or an inventor's workshop, if you will. And the second thing is this background over here, which is just the flooring. It feels empty. So if we were to look at this in perspective, the size of this area would be quite big, and it's completely empty, which doesn't really make sense to me. So maybe you could add some extra detail in there. That's one option at least. And the other option, put some stuff in here. But the other option would be to maybe change the lighting so it's not coming down like this, but just more going like this. So you can still highlight the characters, but the floor overall is catching way less light. So it makes it less sort of distracting in the image.
All right. Daniel?
Yeah, so I really, so I'm not sure where that noise came from. I really like this.
What was that?
Yes. I really like this image. There's very few things for me to critique. I think the subsurface is a little bit strong for me, but that's again more of a stylistic sort of preference. I like all the little devices and tools and things that are sort of scattered across the table, and I like all the little spare pieces that are still on the table from making the dragonfly thing. I think it all works really well. The main thing that sort of bugs me a little is the girl's eyes. Like I think like they're just a little bit too universally dark. Like if it just had like a little bit of extra in the whites, I think that would
Man,
work
this is
really
even
well.
worse.
But
No, but I understand.
like for me, just
I
like a
know.
little tiny little bit extra. It's again just like I don't know, just a little bit extra. I don't
Could
know,
you zoom in on the Isaac?
Like that's my addition there. Like if I just go ahead and remove mine, like I don't know, it just feels a little bit universally
they're
dark
a
for
little
me.
bit too dark.
But it's such a nitpicky thing. I think it works really, really well. I don't mind the empty-ish background. I think that I like the fact that there's nothing distracting back there. I think when it gets to this sort of subjective, tiny nitpicky things, I think it's a good indication that you've got a very good image, really.
Completely agree.
Well, since we have the author in the chat, I would really love to know if he knows. Bodhi, hello. What sort of subsurface scattering type did you use? Because I see in the chat that you created these characters in Character Creator, and sometimes when you export your characters to Blender, it gives you these like different types of subsurface scattering, and this almost seems like that you switch to random walk subsurface scattering. Sometimes it's there is this new type of subsurface scattering called random walk fixed radius, and it would basically fix most of your problems with the subsurface scattering, because there is so much of it, especially on the nose and let me get my tools. Yeah, the nose here, the fingers, that's too much. And it's also making the girl look a little bit weird in the face. And it happens to me every time I just export my characters without changing the type of subsurface scattering. So that may fix your problem.
Good tip. I imported them with an add-on for Character Creator add-on and just left it as it was.
Yeah, and if you switch to the different type, it will be so much better. I promise you.
No. Good tip. I like all the little highlights, by the way, here with the light.
You're kind of close to your microphone, so it got sounding a bit loud.
Okay. Sorry about that. So, yeah, like from my side, I think most of the things have been said.
Just one thing I want to add real quick. If you can zoom on the face a little bit.
Which face?
The girl face. So every time Kazan releases a tutorial, that's the exact face I make. I'm just really excited. So I just wanted to add that there.
Oh, yes.
Wow.
All right. Anyone? Something to add? I think it's a fantastic image. Yeah.
Loved it.
Not much to add here.
Again, it was so hard to choose. I mean,
especially the winners and first, second, third place and stuff.
Guys, if you saw us like arguing for an hour about every single piece, you would understand.
we had to go to we had to come up with a system for voting just to get it over with.
Because otherwise there were
and even that didn't really work.
So this one is by Kenton, third place of the Pro Arena.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we are getting there. Egon, would you like to start here?
Yeah. I just want to repeat again, like that there were so many good submissions for this competition this time. So we really had a hard time to choose the finalists, even harder time to choose the best ones. So, and we had so many different points of views and discussions about composition, colors, theme, story, and everything. So, and this one was another one from that range. And this is like pure sci-fi image. It's very clean. Even you have like plenty of details on the textures. The story is something you, at least from my point of view, you have to discover. You have to really go through the image and look at the different elements, and then you will find the story. But it's this minimalistic approach that you illuminate only the parts of the scene, and then you discover the rest in the darkness. It's very good. And if I just pinpoint some parts, like we have this beautiful light area here. So we are coming with our eye from this direction. So it leads us immediately here. And as we are going through the image, we are getting to the darker area. But again, we are discovering this part of the image here. So the leading of the viewer through the story, it's perfect. You start at the brightest point. You see the character, which is like very natural for you to stop on. you will put your attention, and then you continue somewhere where the character is heading. You are looking for the danger or discovery. So that's very well executed. And this dark area, it gives you time to discover things. So you are looking for the transfer, successful or unsuccessful, whatever that it says, the display. Then you look what's inside of that box, and then you are discovering another robot, and then you are discovering another robot down here. And as you go around the image, it gives you more and more will to find for more pieces of the story. So it's very, very well executed. If we go for a technical execution of this, it's very detailed. We have nice details on the character. Then we have some time to rest in this area. We have nice details on those grades. And again, we have the dark spots, so we can rest a little bit. And then again, we have plenty of details here in the background. So again, it's giving us the different layers to discover. So that's, again, nicely done. And using minimal color palette, it's something what is not that easy if you want to put the whole story in. And I really appreciate it here, because we generally have like 3 colors. We have the black, white, and this like orangish reddish tone here, like this spectrum here and here. And it's minimal approach, but we have a plenty of story and plenty of detail on this one. So very well sci-fi, like sci-fi scene. Very well done, and I don't really have to say any critique on this one. It's so good.
All right. That's nice to hear. Jesse, do you have anything here?
Yeah, I think this one was one of my favorites when it came to the story in it. It really left me wondering, and I thought the robot in itself was very well done. It had this chappy vibe for me, but also was unique in its own way. So I think that was very well done. And there was actually some clues left in here. So I believe there was some stuff going on in these newspaper snippets about robots as well. So yeah, it says our robots are last resort. So these tiny little clues will help viewers watch your images or view your images for longer, I feel like. And it really intrigued me to explore this overall image and try to find out what was going on. Why are there humans inside of here? Or at least they appear to be humans. Why is this a robot? Who did he just shoot? Because there's smoke coming from the gun, which probably means he just fired it, or she. And overall, yeah, again, like Egon said, the lighting over here is just perfect. There's so much focus on this area, but the light is so bright that it sort of removes all the detail, which I think is very strong, because it's now very easily recognizable to see this character over here. And then immediately after, like Egon said, you are drawn over here, where there's a lot more detail, but also a lot less light. So that makes sense. So the light over here is really catching our eye and drawing us over here in the first part. And then the second part is also the second brightest part, but it's not unnecessarily bright. So it really draws you in for the second area.
Yeah, nice. So I think this artwork has done a good job, or the artist behind this artwork. Anyone want to say something?
Yeah, just one thing for me. I have a few concerns about the legs reflections, because at the beginning, I was thinking there were many legs inside this container, but actually these are just reflections as far as I see. So this looks quite confusing. So I would try to remove these reflections that look like weird.
Yeah, I think they are.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't mind it so much, only because it sort of reminds me of
they
those
are.
crystal cube things, where whatever's inside sort of refracts onto the outside in weird sort of ways.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But
So these
yeah,
are the
I thought it was
actual
kind of
legs.
cool as well. Yeah. But yeah, the artist is inside of the chat, so you can always ask them.
something that bugged me a little with this was these bits of I don't know what they are, fabric or something. They are super transparent, which makes it look like it's supposed to be a liquid or some sort of water, but it's too rectangular for
Maybe
that.
it's a plastic.
So yeah, so maybe some sort of plastic or something. But I think it would work a lot better if it was a bit more opaque. But yeah, pretty nitpicky thing.
Yeah, very cool to hear that they actually wrote all the articles themselves to really sell the story. So that's a very nice detail, I think.
Yeah, totally. Well done.
Awesome. Congrats for the third place. And again, we had hard time to picking like first, second, and third. So I kind of imagine all the ones we are showing here are pretty much at the same level.
Yeah.
Also, I thought about like writing a short explanation for the ones we didn't pick because there were so many that I wanted like to describe my thoughts why we didn't pick them.
Yeah.
Maybe next time.
So this one is the second place by Ondrej. So Masha, do you want to start here?
Yeah, I like that. Like this work so much. I mean, we have all these details and all the Christmas stuff, Christmas vibes. This is something I love very much. So and also we have this little weird creature that also adds some Christmas vibe to the scene because it's like have like I don't know. It's have this stuff over it, like
The
snow
icicles,
and
yeah.
everything,
Yeah.
stalactites and so on. Yeah. It looks weird and cool at the same time. And also we have this guy that is like is very surprised or scared, and he has this dynamic pose. And for me, the scene looks very cool. I love it. And the only thing that feels a bit strange for me is that we have this super clean and empty like floor with nothing on it. And but here it's not like super, there's not perfect order. So I would expect to maybe, I don't know, have some objects on the ground, maybe a few seats here and there. I don't know, something that makes the floor look more like it's alive. I don't know, something like this. For apart from this, the image looks great for me. I love all the Christmas stuff over the lab and all these containers and everything, and the creature, very nice. Yeah.
Yeah, one thing, I mean, I totally love it. And here I just want to highlight the background is bright, which is cool. And the creature is moved to the side. So if the creature would have stand here, we probably wouldn't see it that much. But since we have the lighting from the back, it's going through the crystals here. So it's nicely highlighted. And the background is also a bit darker. So we can nicely see it, which is pretty nice.
I'd like to have a quick look at the creature as well.
Like a zoom in?
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I when I saw this image the first dozen times, I honestly didn't see that creature at all. It was something that I only saw on the when we were judging it, and someone mentioned that there was a creature there, and I had to zoom in to see what was there. I don't know. It didn't
maybe a
stand
little
out.
bit too small.
Yeah, or like I really do like the bright background, but maybe if it was dark outside and the creature itself was creating like some sort of glow or something.
Or you could just remove these boxes.
Yeah,
then you would just have the sort of brownish background and clear.
Yeah, but I like the lighting is really nice overall, and I don't mind the empty floor so much. That's sort of probably a personal preference thing. But I think the light fixtures up here, these things are gorgeous. I think they're really nice and very pretty, and the shading on it makes them look so realistic. It's really nice just the whole scene looks so realistic. It's really, really good.
Yeah. Martin, I think I remember you said something about the lighting when we talked about this image.
Well, it is, of course, undoubtedly very realistic, like ultra realistic, and it's a huge plus for this one, especially with all the little details on the sides. It's just amazing. The character seems like it is detailed, but the pose seems a little bit too wooden for me. I don't know. I just something is bothering me about it, and I can't really put my finger on it. But and yeah, the fact that the creature isn't really like the main thing that I noticed when I first look at it is the window, and the creature, I noticed it only after a long time of watching it. So I think it's not that ideal for me. But otherwise, the atmosphere of the piece and the colors and the values and everything, it's just perfect. So thumbs up for the realism. It's just that the main focus of the image, I feel like it wasn't really highlighted enough for me.
Yeah.
But for me, this is also the discovery of the image. Like you're watching it, first you see, wow, it's so beautiful. Then you see, okay, why is this person falling? And then when you look more into the image, you see this little creature there.
I agree.
I first thought he was leaning for a little while and like somehow tilting
I just
it.
thought he fell over, but
Yeah.
I saw the creature later on. But I think, by the way, this is one of the best glass shaders I've ever seen, or glass renders, if you will. I think it's perfect. It's realistic. It's if not for the character, then to me, this image would have been. It could have been a photo, honestly. Yeah. And I really like the details, Zach. If you will zoom in on his slippers or sandals, I guess.
Sorry, I'm laughing. Someone said, I like that Egon liked this so much, he did the same tree in his house.
Yeah.
It looks pretty similar.
It looks the same.
I see it.
It's your house, right? It's just a different angle.
By the way, this there's socks in the slippers. So.
Yeah. If you zoom in on that, it's just amazing. I like these kinds of details. It's just amazing.
Must be inspired off 80 Burrows.
No, he's never wearing socks.
Oh, he didn't wear socks? Oh, okay.
No, he's always barefoot.
I think with that change, with the boxes removed, like Jesse suggested, I think that instantly makes the creature so much more visible.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, yeah, I think that was a good suggestion.
Yeah, very nice.
Do we know how it was rendered? What
I think it was purely Blender, if I remember correctly from, let me quickly check, but I think at least the artist said it was purely Blender, but I imagine it's true. The main tool for creating this image was Blender. Yeah, nothing else mentioned here.
I guess it's cycles.
Maybe they should make like a tutorial.
Yeah, it's cycles for sure.
Oh yeah. If you do this in Eevee, then
you're a genius.
How? Why?
Teach me, master.
Blender, hire this guy.
Yeah. No. I think it.
Show us the way.
Yeah.
It looks pretty much cycle.
Yeah.
It's done in the previous render engine from 2.4.
You mean like the
Blender
internal?
Yeah, Blender internal.
Daniel, you did such a seamless work with that painting.
Yeah, that is good. It's part of my actual job to do things like that, so I better be good at it.
I see. That's why you're making the compositing course for CG.
Yes.
Master at work.
Spoiler.
That's a great example.
Oh shit! I should have said that, right?
So Daniel, what is your job, by the way?
I'm a compositor on feature films and TV series and things. So, green screening, keying, doing blending backgrounds and foregrounds and things like that. So it's my job outside of this lovely stuff.
Nice.
So, yeah.
So now we have the first place by Philipp. Congrats. Yay. I think Egon should start here with this image.
Yeah, this was my like the most loved image in the competition, probably because of this kind of like Frankenstein mood, and I really love this black and white style. It's something what you don't see very often in the challenges, because like I said, it's not that easy to create something with less colors or only with the black and white format. And something similar like we had for a training arena. This might look very noisy at the beginning, but the more you look into the image, more order you will see there, because this is very well executed in terms of composition. And the whole framing of the scene, you have this spiral staircase coming out. It's giving you nice frame for the main protagonist here, the monster. But at the same time, you have this portal giving you the light to the scene, so you see this mad scientist right here. So this is such an easy like solution how to work with composition. You just lead the eye by other elements, so you have plenty. I will just make my brush bigger. You have plenty of detail elements, which looks like noise, but all of a sudden, if you look at them, they will create pattern, and the pattern just leads you around the scene and frames everything. So that's one of the big pluses for this one. I really appreciate this stylization and plenty of details in the scene, and those details are on the right spots. So like I said, the details are used to make this circular motion around the scene, and you finally end up here looking at the monster just howling in some agony or experimenting phase. And more you look at it, more details you will discover. You will discover the scientist, you will discover the lightnings coming in, you discover the staircase, you discover all the labby things here, some like electrical device, you will discover different flasks and chemical apparatus. So the whole scene gives you more and more time to discover and go around, and all fits well together. The areas you don't really need to see are like hidden in the shadows, like they are darkened, they are kind of like out of focus. So really leads you, so you see more and more. More you see, again, you discover more details. You see the small coffins here. So the level of details in the distribution, it's perfectly done. So this is a great example how to work with only like very simple color palette, generally black and white. How to put the details to lead your eye around, and how to like get rid of the parts you don't need to. So you have like nice focal points. You have another like circulation of your like discovering on the scene. So every single detail in the scene works well for me. So I don't really have anything to critique. Maybe like small nitpicking, the work with the lightings around here, those bolts can be a little bit more detailed or more, I don't know, like probably glowing more or something. So we'll have a more like a bigger feeling of some electricity flowing around, but it's just really nitpicking on this great piece.
I think we used to like several competitions ago. Or several times in the competitions we had artwork with this sort of composition and this fisheye lens and stuff, and you always liked it the most. So guys, if you wanna win Egon's heart, you know what to do.
Yeah, this one really fits me.
Yeah.
I think
So-
for me, it's the only thing that sort of bugs me about this a little is that I have a bit of trouble focusing on the head over here. Like it's got the cool eye glowiness, which is fun, and I do like that. But I don't know. There's something about the fact that we sort of lose the shape of this against the dark background just here. That I don't know. There's something about that sort of bugs me a little, just because my eye is drawn very heavily towards these spots, just because of the contrast between the light and the dark spots. But then over here, the foreground and the background blend together super seamlessly, and it's hard for me to see that spot. Yeah, so I don't know, something.
Yeah, I like that as well. Just a bit of a highlight on there.
Yeah. I also
Yeah.
would expect to maybe have some more details on the character itself, because we have all this realistic stuff, graveyard, not graveyard, the coffins around and so on. And I would expect to clearly see that this character is made out of different parts of bodies and so on. But overall, what we've got here on the creature is mostly the silhouette. So this is what I would love to see a bit more, because compared to the all the details we have around the scene, this looks really too like, I don't know, like unfinished in some way. I don't know. Maybe
Yeah,
it's
and the hand
just
is very detailed as well. So the one hand that is popping out has a lot of
yeah.
detail. So it is there, and that also looks amazing stylistically. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Maybe
for
just-
me, it's more a discovery thing. So I think the first thing you look at is this character here, because it has these bright, shiny eyes. There's this bright lightning going on, and in general, this area is pretty bright. And then slowly you're like looking around the scene, and then in this dark spot here, you're discovering, oh, this is actually a person. And I think it just
Okay.
adds
Yeah.
to discovering the story here. But yeah,
Yeah.
what Egon painted in there, it definitely helps
Yeah.
to read the shape a bit better.
Yeah.
Yeah, since we are using so many like electric balls there, that some like glowing effect or like electrifying effect would really help. But just like small thing. But definitely, if we give a little bit of contour with that, it wouldn't harm that much. Yeah.
for me, this was my favorite piece, mainly because it just has such great art direction. Everything seems thought out, like the shape of this window, which is also sort of shaped like a coffin, but the beams in here as well, the bars, the steel bars, they're not straight, they're crooked. The drawing feels made by the person themselves. Over here is the monster, by the way, as a drawing. As well as all the other parts. It's realistic in a way, but it's also stylized, and every single detail feels intentionally placed and intentionally modeled and shaped towards one single style and story for this entire image. And if you're able to do that, then, well, I take my hat off to you, basically.
Yep.
Nicely said. Okay.
Daniel won't take his hat off though.
No, I will not. It is mine, and I shall keep it.
You have, Alan, by the way.
Do I what?
You have taken your hat off, by the way.
Yes, I have.
At the very beginning.
Yeah. It was hurting my ears. It was putting pressure on my ears at the same time. Sorry.
I wanted to put on this Christmas hat here, but it's not fitting with the headphones. So yeah. All right. I think
There we go.
great work, Philip.
Absolutely.
So,
A round of applause for everybody.
Yep.
I think someone asked Daniel a question in the community, like what software he used for compositing, if he ever used Nitron or something like that. Some kind of
Yeah. So I have used it, and it's a good alternative for Nuke, especially if you're just learning. It's pretty much the same thing. There's a lot of missing features, obviously, because it's a free alternative. Especially around things like Nuke has a lot of 3D integration stuff, so you can have sort of cards or like flat images placed in a 3D space and use cameras to move them around and stuff like that. It's very helpful, but Natron obviously doesn't have any of that, but it is a good alternative. It gets pretty severely limited when it comes to working in 4K images and things like that, because I found when I started using it, it was great if you're working on, say, 1080p footage or images of like 1920 by 1080 resolution. But as soon as you start going higher than that, it starts freaking out and starts crashing, and it gets a little bit terrifying. So I would recommend, if you're looking for a program that does good compositing work, but is not as ridiculously expensive as Nuke, probably try using Fusion from the Fusion section of DaVinci Resolve, or even Blender's compositing.
After Effects.
Don't get me started. Look, After Effects is great and it has its place, but I find the workflow to be really annoying for someone who's worked with a node-based setup for so long.
There are basically two types of people.
Yeah, but like if you like layer-based compositing, After Effects works great. Go for it. It's just not my style, so that's But notably, Nuke does have a non-commercial version that you can use completely for free as much as you like. You have to reactivate it every couple of months, but it's completely free. You're just limited to 1920 by 1080 as the maximum resolution. So if you want to learn Nuke, I would definitely try doing that, because it is the industry standard for compositing. So
Yeah.
Thanks for that. And yeah, Daniel, as mentioned by Martin, is working on a compositing course, and he will use Blender. We thought on using Natron, but because of the limits Daniel just mentioned, we decided to go with Blender.
yeah,
And Blender also gets some like real-time compositing updates, hopefully soon.
yeah.
Which
It
are
was
quite
like
exciting.
3.4, right? But they put it out
I'm not
later.
sure.
Some performance upgrades would be deeply appreciated, but
Yeah.
yes, it does work well, especially if you're working on simpler things. So
Yeah, by the way,
After
earlier
Effects.
there were someone asking if they can use external assets for both arenas. And the answer is yes, basically. You just can't
Yeah.
use paid tools in the training arena.
Exactly. You can basically use every downloadable assets if you want. For the training arena, it has to be free, so everyone could use it in their artwork as well. For the pro arena, there's no limitation. You can
Yeah,
use as much paid or free asset as you like. Yeah.
exactly.
There is a loaded question in the chat. Is
Yeah, I just saw that.
I was just about to say.
Smart.
Oh, so next time we should do a separate live stream, right?
Oh, the heresy.
No. Then again, it would be a very short live stream. It would be no.
Yeah.
They're just different tools. They do the same sort of job, just in different ways.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Pretty much.
But I guess you're barking up the wrong tree in this, this
yeah,
group of people, maybe.
for loyalty purposes, no, it's disgusting.
All right. I think the stream is already way too long. So thanks everyone outside for watching and staying with us for so long. Hope you learned a little thing or two. Thanks everyone for joining in here, the City Boost team, and big thanks to Jesse for joining in. It was super fun.
Thanks for having me.
And yeah, check out Jesse's YouTube channel, link down below, and all the other infos you also find down below. If you want to check out the other finalist artworks and the winner artworks, they're all on our website. We haven't got a new date for the next challenge yet. In January, we will have the Sculpt January, where you can like practice sculpting. And then we will probably maybe start in January at some point with the next challenge. So just stay tuned for that. You can also sign up to our newsletter if you want to get notified. There's also a link down below. Yeah, thanks everyone, and goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.